Okay, this is part 3 of the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, and today we take a look at the Clinton administration, the many scandals of the Clinton administration. Going to play this little clip of Hillary from the Wayback Machine here. This is Hillary Rodham Clinton in 1998.
The great story here, for anybody willing to find it and write about it and explain it, is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband since the day he announced for president.
Okay, I apologize for my cats crying in the background there, but, alright, so, yeah. Well, in 1992, George H.W. Bush ran against Bill Clinton and lost. It was domestic policy, a recession, and a read my lips, no new taxes that he went back on. That basically did end Bush. It wasn't the end of the Cold War. Although some scandals festered in Clinton's first term, in 1996, neither Bob Dole on the left there or Ross Perot, his opponents, took advantage of those scandals. For instance, on the left, Mike Espy, who was the agriculture secretary, had to resign after allegedly taking some bribes from food companies. Ron Brown, the commerce secretary in the middle, also was accused of taking bribes, but he died in an airplane accident in Bosnia. And the energy secretary, a anti-nuclear activist, Hazel O'Leary, the junkets that she took, the lavish junkets she took, were a joke amongst administration officials. But the biggest scandal was probably the Whitewater scandal. Well, the second biggest was the Whitewater scandal. It was a real estate venture dating back to Bill's time as the Arkansas Attorney General. Now, this is Susan McDougal, one of Clinton's partners in Whitewater, and she spent 18 months in jail for contempt of court for refusing to answer grand jury questions. Her husband was actually sentenced for fraud, I believe, and he died in jail. Tasked with addressing the mounting scandals, this man, Vince Foster, committed suicide in the White House. Now, in 1994, Paula Jones came forward with sexual allegations against Clinton. That led to a snowball effect of accusations with, like, Jennifer Flowers. And then the resulting was a sordid affair with this woman, Monica Lewinsky, being revealed. Now, this is a famous clip of Bill Clinton about that alleged affair.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American
people. Yeah, a few months later, he went on TV and publicly apologized for the fact that he did have sexual relations with that woman. Very weird. Weird time in America. Okay, so...
But I want to say one thing.
This is Johnny Chung. He made over $300,000 worth of donations to the Democratic National Committee. He also has ties to Chinese intelligence. It was later revealed that 4 other Chinese nationals had donated over $1 million to either the DNC or to Clinton's 1996 re-election campaign. In 1993, the World Trade Center was targeted with a truck bomb that killed 6 people and injured thousands more. The mastermind, Ramzi Youssef, managed to escape. Later that year, 18 military people were killed in Somalia on a humanitarian mission, and another 80 were injured. After it was revealed that a plot by Youssef to hijack planes and fly them into buildings was thwarted in the Philippines, Clinton put his Vice President Al Gore in charge of beefing up airline safety. Although Al was more than aware that it was Muslim terrorists, he was more concerned about racial profiling. After the Oklahoma City bombing by Timothy McVeigh, Clinton asked the FBI to develop a list of terrorist organizations and their financial enablers. When a charity linked to Hamas was mentioned, the powers that be feared profiling charges once again and did nothing. That led this man, Dick Morris, to say Clinton's failure to mobilize America to confront foreign terrorism in 1993, after the 1993 attack, led directly to the 9/11 disaster. Clinton was removed, uninvolved, and distant where the war on terror was concerned. Now, this is Mansour Ijaz, an American businessman, Muslim businessman. He had opened up a line of communication between the U.S. and Sudan. Now, Sudan was like on the shit list at this time. By this time, it was known that Osama bin Laden was in Sudan and that he was the largest financier of terrorism in the world. Sudanese President Omar Hassan Ahmed Bashir, that's kind of poetic, offered to deliver bin Laden to the United States, but Clinton refused. By 1996, Bashir had kicked bin Laden out of the country. He tried to get him extradited to Saudi Arabia, and even Saudi Arabia didn't want him. A month after that, a truck bomb exploded next to the Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia, killing 19 American soldiers and injuring more than 300. The FBI director, Louis Freeh, had eyes on bin Laden, but he became convinced that Clinton wanted to take no action lest it upset his cozying up to Iran, because Clinton became convinced that he could take a case about the Khobar Tower to Mohammad Khatami, who he considered a more moderate leader than the Ayatollah Khomeini. There was ample evidence that the terrorists who targeted the Khobar Towers had obtained their passports at the Iranian embassy in Syria. That didn't go anywhere, and the result was the bombing of embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. 245 people were killed and over 5,000 injured. Clinton believed that bin Laden was still in Sudan, and he ordered a missile strike on basically an innocent country, and took out their only pharmaceutical plant. Way to go. Finally, the USS Cole was targeted in Yemen as it was being serviced by terrorists that killed 17 American sailors. All this led to a belief in the Middle East that Clinton could be played, basically. Saddam Hussein in Iraq upped his weapons of mass destruction program and fired on U.S. warplanes, enforcing a no-fly zone. In fact, Yasser Arafat, a known and proud terrorist, was Clinton's most frequent foreign visitor to the White House. So in 1995, Jamie Gorelick, she was Assistant Attorney General, she penned a memo for greater separation between the FBI and CIA or NSA. This was a period when U.S. technology theft was being investigated by both organizations, the FBI, the CIA, and some implicated some key Clinton people. The result was the formation of the National Counterterrorism Center, which oversaw the CIA. This basically created a layer of bureaucracy between Clinton and some bad actors not really, working in the interests of the United States. Speaking of which, it wasn't only Clinton and the apparently illegal campaign contributions from Chinese nationals with links to Chinese intelligence, but some major companies like McDonnell Douglas, General Electric, L'Oreal, and Hughes Electronics benefited with lucrative contracts with the Chinese and some other not very nice countries. But by this time, the U.S. military was no longer feared by adversaries. Actions in Bosnia and Kosovo only emboldened Russia. Clinton also pardoned 16 members of the FALN, a Puerto Rican separatist group that had managed to kill 16 people. He also pardoned this guy, Mark Rich, who was wanted on 51 charges. He escaped to Switzerland. His wife had donated over $1 million to the Clintons over the years. Linda Evans and Susan Rosenberg were also pardoned. They were members of the Weather Underground, and they were sentenced for an armed robbery in Nyack, New York, that resulted in the death of an armored guard security officer. Hillary Clinton, his wife, was placed in charge of a healthcare reform task group. It was done secretly, prompting this man, who we'll see later, Judge Royce Lamberth, to rule that her behavior was reprehensible when the task force was sued by a group of physicians. In 1995, Chris Lehane, Clinton advisor, had written a memo stating that there was this vast right-wing conspiracy to take down Clinton. He complained that the American Spectator made up conspiracy theories, which were then fed to Rupert Murdoch through a tabloid in England called The Sun, which Murdoch owned, and then made their way into American mainstream media. That is where Hillary got the quote at the top of the presentation. Now, in 1998, New York Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan announced that he would be retiring in 2000. Hillary saw her chance. But wait, whoa. Back up. Isn't she from Arkansas? Well, you could fix that. Just buy a $1.3 million mansion in Chappaqua, New York, and establish residency. How'd they get the money for it? Democratic fundraiser Terry McAuliffe provided the financing. He would later go on to become the governor of Virginia. And then Hillary hired this man, Bill de Blasio, to run her Senate campaign. He became the mayor of New York City and screwed it up. As for Bill, well, he had no inclination to retire from public life. Nope. Instead, he would go on to form the Clinton Foundation. So join me for part 4 on the Russia-Trump collusion hoax with the rise of Vladimir Putin, the big bogeyman in this whole thing. That's it. Thanks. Have a great day. A more pleasant tomorrow.